How did Peter Parker get bitten by the spider in the MCU, and will Spider-Man freshman year give us the answer? Stick around to find out. Yo, what is going on, you guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, we are going to be tackling the very important question of how did Peter Parker get bit by the spider in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But before we do get into that, if you are new around here and enjoy all types of Spider-Man content, from news and updates from the movies, games and shows, and fanfiction content where we tackle lost or unfinished stories, then make sure to hit that subscribe button, make sure to hit the bell next to the subscribe button so you do not miss another video. And also, if you are interested in superhero clothing based designs, then I give you I Am Superhero, who are a company that are dedicated to providing you high quality clothing that you can wear to the gym or just out and about with your friends. They have designs such as Spider-Man, Batman and many more. But with that being said, let's get straight into the video. So how did Peter get bit by the spider in the MCU? It's a good question, and one that was never answered in either Captain America Civil War or Spider-Man Homecoming, two movies that explored the character when he first stepped foot in the MCU. However, as you guys probably know by now, we are getting an animated prequel series to Civil War called Spider-Man Freshman Year, which will deal with the events of Peter's freshman year of high school, a period that we barely got to see in the MCU. So it's fair to assume that with the very little information that we have about the show, that we will get some sort of explanation into how Peter got bit by the spider in the MCU, along with a lot of other tropes that accompany themselves with Spider-Man's origin. For example, the death or whatever happened to Uncle Ben will probably be explained in the show. Peter discovering his powers will be a main theme, and something that is exclusive to the MCU, we will probably get more of a glimpse into Peter's life as a YouTube vlogger, as Civil War and Homecoming briefly touched upon. So now that we've established that since this will be Peter's freshman year in high school, he will almost certainly be bitten by the spider during the show. But how? Where? This is also another good question. In recent years, especially the 21st century, a popular place for Peter to get bitten by the spider in his origin has been Oscorp Industries. In the original 616 comics, Peter was never bitten by the spider at Oscorp Industries, and I want to make this very clear. However, it has been popular for Peter to be bitten at Oscorp, as demonstrated in the Ultimate line of comic books and in the Amazing Spider-Man movies. However, just like the Raimi movies, the original comics never depicted Peter getting bitten at Oscorp, and since Oscorp doesn't exist within the MCU, as explained in No Way Home, it has to be somewhere else. There are 6 possible options here, some more likely than others. The most obvious answer to where Peter got bit by the spider is Stark Industries, since Tony Stark and Iron Man has been a big part of Spider-Man's origin within the MCU and bringing him up to be the hero that he is today. However, after many backlashes from the fans, I'm not so sure that revisiting Stark after he's been a big part of Spider-Man's career in the future would be the best option. I think leaving Peter on his own in the beginning and not bringing Stark in earlier than he was originally involved in would be a good choice. Obviously, Peter will never have met Stark, but I think cutting all ties with Stark in this series would be the right thing to do. However, it is still an option, as I said. The second option is probably as likely, if not more, but it is a boring option, I won't lie. Peter will just get bit at a random genetics research lab, just like he did in the comics, whilst on a school trip. This option is probably the one that will occur in the series, although I do believe that the place it ends up being will hold some kind of significance to the overall story. However, that is my second option, not really much more to explain there. My third option could be quite likely, however I don't think it is as much as the first two. Peter could be on a school trip to Empire State University, where he meets Dr. Curtis Connors. And since Dr. Connors doesn't currently exist within the MCU, this could be a perfect time to introduce him. Here, Connors could be experimenting with spiders, and this could be where he gets bit. The villain of the series could then turn out to be the Lizard, completing the Chekhov's gun rule of storytelling. This could also set up MCU Spider-Man 4, as MJ and Ned go upstate. Peter could end up going to ESU instead. However, this is where the plot holes start to arise. Peter never once in No Way Home mentioned that he knew who Dr. Connors was, or that he even had a version of him in his universe. Now, I know that he didn't have many moments where he could have mentioned that he fought the Lizard before, but I think just because of this fact, it completely limits a battle with the Lizard. However, Dr. Connors being a character of his own is still entirely possible if they both don't learn of each other's names. Now, this is where we get onto the wackier options. My fourth option is that the spider bite could happen at the Baxter building. Obviously, this will take place before the Fantastic Four get their powers, and yes, they might have to take a few leeways about how the Baxter building has never been mentioned in the MCU thus far, but it also could explain how Peter got his powers if some weird, freaky experiment was being carried out. Heck, the spider could have even come from somewhere like the Negative Zone, which could totally explain why we've never seen a spider bite anyone else. Also, Peter Parker in the comics is known for having a great relationship with Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. So this could also explain how they may be acquainted within the MCU already when they get their first appearance with one another on the big screen. This reference to the F4 would also establish them in the MCU and set them up for their film as well. The next option I don't really have a solid explanation for, but it could be something to do with Hydra. Obviously, Hydra was still carrying out super soldier experiments throughout the late 20th century and even into the 21st century. So it's possible that they could have experimented with genetically enhanced super spiders at one point to possibly recreate the super soldier serum and possibly even improve upon it. One could have escaped and ended up biting Peter Parker in the present day. How they would explain all of this in freshman year, I have no idea, since the world of Peter Parker and the world of super soldiers and Hydra is so far apart. But heck, it's still an option. My last option is probably the most unlikely of them all, and I really don't like this option, but it could still technically happen. As we know, the X-Men show is coming back to Disney Plus from the late 90s, and as we know, it's almost a matter of time before the X-Men make their grand appearance within the MCU. I know Spider-Man in the comics is not considered a mutant, and you can probably see where I'm going with this in the most general sense because he was not born with his powers. However, since the MCU likes to spice things up sometimes by redirecting stories, and since we don't know what the definition of a mutant is in the MCU just yet, Spider-Man could technically subsequently be considered a mutant, and his powers could have just developed when he hit puberty. Obviously, this means that he was never bitten by a spider, and this would also invoke the X-Men within the MCU and also work as an introduction for them, but personally, this is the weakest option, and I really don't think this is entirely possible. I really do not like this idea, and it's very wacky, and the MCU has done crazy things before, so it's not out the realm of possibility that this could actually happen. As we know with Miss Marvel right now, Kevin Feige has said that her powers aren't exactly as they were from the comics, meaning that Kevin Feige and the MCU is not afraid of changing heavy things from the source material, which potentially could mean that Spider-Man's origin could be completely changed with how he got his powers. Obviously, I don't think this is likely, and I really do not think that this will be an option, bringing and wrapping the X-Men into Spider-Man's origin. However, it's still a possibility considering we're on the horizon of really introducing the X-Men and what they mean within the MCU. Like I did say, I don't want this to happen, but there you go, it's an option. And that's it for today's video. If you do agree with any of these theories, or if you have any theories of your own, then make sure to comment down below. I want to hear all of your thoughts. With that being said, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button, and also make sure to subscribe, because I'll be breaking down and covering the episodes of freshman year when they start releasing. And also make sure to subscribe for all types of Spider-Man content like these theory videos and all the news on the movies, the games, and the shows, and I'll keep you up to date on everything so you can all be in the loop of all the latest news and just know what's going on. And also the fan fictions as well. If you enjoyed those videos, make sure to subscribe. Also make sure to hit the bell so you don't miss the video as soon as they go out on the channel. You can be one of the first ones to watch the video. Also make sure to check out I Am Superior for all of those high quality, awesome clothing designs based off your favorite superheroes. And with that being said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care and peace.